Hey everybody, and welcome to KM Reviews. I am Middleman. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe to get updated reviews every single week. This time I'm bringing you the movie review for Birth of a Nation. And for those of you that haven't heard about this movie, it got a lot of award buzz earlier this year as it went to a bunch of different film festivals. I mean, people are talking about Oscars. Just throw as many awards as you can give it. Now, with that being said, I went into this with a very high expectations, thinking, oh man, this is going to be some crazy movie. And I was a little bit disappointed. I'll get to that in a minute. Now, outside of the movie itself, the actor who plays the main character, Nat Turner, he's had some issues on the outside of the camera. I'm not going to be talking about that in this review. I'm talking strictly the movie here, okay? So if you're looking for that extra rumor stuff, whatever, go somewhere else. This is strictly about the movie. So what is this movie about? Basically, it's about Nat Turner, who is a slave, and it's based on this true story about this guy who basically is a preacher, and he goes around to other slaves and preaches certain things that are allowed for him to preach to basically quell the notions of any sort of uprising, because as we all know, slaves went through a lot of shit. I mean, it's pretty crazy that only a couple hundred years ago, which really isn't that long ago, that we were treating other human beings like this in our own country. I mean, we hear about, the Nazis and all sorts of crazy shit that happened. We always talk shit about other countries, but holy fuck, we did some shit in this country. Let's not forget that. With that being said, the acting in this movie is tremendous. I do agree. Some of the acting in this movie is Oscar worthy. There are some heartfelt moments in this. There are some tears that you feel like are real tears. There is some happiness that feels like real happiness. And one interesting thing I find with movies about slaves is you see some of the slave owners that are true just absolute fucking scum with the way they treat people, and they show you the way they treat slaves in this movie, and my god, some of it is terrible. Now, with that being said, you also have those other slave owners, right, that are like, they're not so bad, they kind of treat them somewhat decent, but they're still slave owners. So it's almost like you get Stockholm Syndrome slightly, because it's almost like you start feeling for the good slave owners, right? You're like, oh man, his farm isn't doing too well. I hope he does better. But it's like, no, fuck, what the fuck am I thinking? He's a fucking slave owner. He's just as fucking bad. Do you ever find that happens with you in slave movies where you're kind of like on the side of one of the slave owners and then you're like, wait, he's a fucking slave owner. Snap out of it. So now, even while the acting is very good, let me talk to you a little bit about why I'm a little disappointed with this movie. And that would be just the simple fact that I feel like I've seen this movie 100 other times. I mean, if you ever saw 12 Years a Slave or Roots or any of the other countless movies about slaves, this really doesn't feel that much different from anything you've already seen. You got a slave who's raised up as a slave, he goes and picks cotton, shit happens to slaves, and they don't like it. And I mean, that's basically what this movie is about. And it's there's nothing unique about it. I saw the trailer to this movie, and I guess for some reason I was picturing it to be like Gangs of New York or something, because there's that scene where they're all running with weapons. And I'm like, oh fuck, this movie's gonna be fucking crazy. But that's really not what this movie is about. I mean, there's really not action in this movie. It's a very slow moving movie. It's slow burning. It's not like a whole lot happens the whole first 3/4 of the movie. The guy's not much happens, I mean, this guy's preaching to other slaves. He's basically just watching shit happen, and it's just kind of repetitive. So I really don't know what the huge buzz was about, because yes, the acting was good, but the story was So with all that being said, I'm going to have to give this movie a one-night stand. Sorry guys, this movie's really good. There's some good acting, but it's really just nothing very unique, and it's nothing that special. So guys, out of all the movies that involve slavery out there, which one impacted you the most? Which one just made you feel like, oh my god, I cannot believe that we did this to people? For me, it's 12 Years a Slave, but I'm curious what you guys think, so let me know and comment below. Also remember, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, pretty much everything at Niddleman, and stay tuned for more movie reviews if you can handle it. Go.